You know the promise of minimalism, right? Less stuff means more peace, more freedom. But what happens when that chase for less ends up costing you, well, everything? Today, we're going to peel back the layers on that picture-perfect life and see what's really hiding underneath.
So let's kick things off with a story that just blew up online because thousands of people saw themselves in it. It's this feeling of inadequacy, of staying up all night frantically getting rid of things only to feel like you've failed, even after getting rid of thousands of items. This isn't peace. This is a panic attack.
And that feeling of inadequacy, that's what happens when a personal lifestyle turns into a public performance. We start chasing some online ideal. And that pressure, well, it's opened the door for some seriously shady and deceptive trends.
I mean, let's be real, who isn't drawn to this? The idea that you can achieve peace, freedom, and just clarity, all through a simpler, more intentional life. It's sold to us as the ultimate hack for our chaotic, cluttered world.
But of course, whenever something gets popular, it gets a shadow side. Scammers have figured out how to cash in on this by creating what they call faceless YouTube channels. These are basically channels run by people who know nothing about minimalism, but they're really good at exploiting the trend for a quick buck.
And check out this timeline, it's pretty wild. See that massive explosion in late 2023? Well, it is no coincidence that this happens right after powerful AI tools like ChatGPT went public. Suddenly, it became incredibly easy to just generate scripts and totally flood YouTube with these copycat videos.
And we're not just talking about a little inspiration here. This is straight up plagiarism. They're stealing titles, thumbnails, entire scripts, word for word. They even use this sneaky tactic called authority hacking, where they'll just slap a picture of someone you trust, like Marie Kondo, on the video to make it seem legit. And then, for good measure, they stuff the description with random buzzwords like cryptocurrency just to cheat the algorithm. It's a total scam.
And this brings us right to our next big idea, how that performance for other people can morph into this really deep internal struggle. Because that pressure to be the perfect minimalist, it doesn't just come from scammers. A lot of the time, it comes from inside our own heads.
And boom, here it is. This is a follow-up from that same person on Reddit, and it's the light bulb moment. The realization that maybe this stuff isn't the real problem. What if the overwhelm is just coming from life? You know, a new baby, a stressful job, any huge life change.
And this lays out the psychological trap perfectly. You feel totally overwhelmed by life, so what do? You try to get some control back by purging your physical space. But because you haven't actually dealt with the real source of the stress, that relief, it never actually comes. And so you get stuck in this vicious cycle, a coping mechanism that just spirals.
But here's where it gets really complex. As so many people pointed out in that Reddit thread, our relationship with our things is deeply, deeply tied to our mental health. For some people, feeling depressed triggers this urge to compulsively clean just to feel some sense of control. But for others, it's the exact opposite. The clutter is the symptom of depression, a sign that they just don't have the activation energy to even start.
So let's zoom out a bit, because when you do, you start to see that this whole minimalist conversation is often carrying these unspoken social and environmental pressures. And they're all built on assumptions that a lot of us don't even realize we're making.
Okay, think about how many times you've heard this piece of advice. For someone to just casually say, oh, if you regret getting rid of it, just buy it again. That completely ignores the financial reality for so many people. It's a statement that just screams privilege, and it can make this whole lifestyle feel kind of classist and exclusionary.
And at the very same time, you've got this other pressure, consume less to save the planet, which is a noble goal for sure, but it can create its own massive burden, eco-anxiety. It's this constant nagging fear that every single thing you buy is somehow contributing to the end of the world.
And hey, this isn't some niche, fringe feeling. That number, 3%, that's the estimate of American adults who are feeling seriously depressed because of climate change. It's like the weight of all the world's problems is resting on your personal shopping cart.
So you've got this pressure to perform, pressure to feel better, pressure to save the planet. All of this forces us to stop and ask a really fundamental question about the movement's core belief.
You know that phrase, less is more? It actually has a super interesting history coming out of architecture and design. The whole idea is really powerful, that by stripping away all the unnecessary stuff, you actually enhance the beauty and the function of what's left.
But here's the thing, it's not the only philosophy out there. You've got its total opposite, maximalism, which basically shouts from the rooftops that more is more. Now, maximalism isn't about hoarding junk, it's about abundance. It's about embracing color and texture and objects that tell your story. It's a full-throated rejection of that sterile, uniform look that minimalism can sometimes have.
So if less is more can actually become a trap, how do we get out of this rigid all-or-nothing thinking? How do we find a way forward that's a little more flexible and a little more compassionate?
A lot of the time, the real problem is something we can call the tyranny of the perfect choice. It's this belief that there is one single, pure, morally perfect option for everything, and if we don't pick it, we're a failure. And that mindset, it just sets us up for constant guilt.
And this table just shows perfectly why that's a trap. In the real world, one good intention often cancels out another. You want a low-carbon footprint? Okay, but that might mean shipping non-renewable materials across the globe. You want to source locally? Great, but that might require a ton of energy. That zero-waste packaging? Yeah, it probably needs a special industrial composter that your city doesn't even have. The perfect choice is basically a myth.
So what's the alternative to this tyranny of perfection? We might find a clue in this beautiful idea from the writer Wendell Berry. Instead of trying to find one huge, heroic, perfect solution for everything, the real work is humble. It's practical. It's just about finding two things that belong together and putting them back together. Just two things, not all the things. It's about small, compassionate actions.
And maybe that's what this all comes down to. What if we just reframed the entire question? Instead of this frantic obsession with, how can I own less? This race to the bottom. What if we asked ourselves a much quieter, more thoughtful question? What in my life is actually worth holding on to? What brings me joy? What serves a real purpose? What tells my story? You know, that might just be the most minimalist idea of them all.